USA versus Jamaica. Where should you live? First of all, there is no right or wrong answer for this. This is totally going to be dependent upon your preference. But I've lived in the US and I've toured 38 states in the US, including Hawaii, great place. I've also lived in Jamaica, well, for the other half of my life. So I'm going to tell you a bit about both, what you can expect, but I'm also going to be honest and I'm going to give you my favorite preferred place to live at the end. So first, USA versus Jamaica, I will tell you, one, the food in Jamaica is better, but the US is a big place. So then how can you really say food in the US is not as good? For example, if you go to New York and you go to Little Italy, you can get authentic Italian food from Italians who live in the US. And you can do that for pretty much any ethnic group you can think of. There are Jamaicans living in the US that make their own food. Now that's authentic Jamaican food. Some of the best Jamaican food that you'll ever have, promise you, is in some of those Jamaican restaurants, and there's a meme, if the Jamaican restaurant doesn't have good service and it's probably dusty outside and there's probably the smell of weed in the parking lot, then you know the food is going to be really good. Those places exist in the US. So then if you go back to Jamaica, of course, that's all authentic Jamaican food. But there are good restaurants and better restaurants too. But the good thing about Jamaica is that, like the US, the motto for Jamaica is out of many one people. So then what that means is actually, if you go back to Jamaica and you're trying to find Italian food, you'll probably find an authentic Italian place. There won't be like 50, but there's going to be at least one that's really, really good. And you can see that for every pretty much cuisine in the world. There's authentic Greek food, there's authentic Indian food, there's authentic Japanese food, all there in Jamaica. It's just that the US is such a big place that you can probably find it in the US as well. So if I were to be honest, even though Jamaican cuisine is probably top 5 in the world, you can also get more variety in the US. Okay, cool. So then that's important. People. Now, not everybody in the US is as mean as they put it on TV. Let me just say, everyone in Jamaica is amazing. I'm Jamaican. We're all friendly. We're all smiles. We all say good morning. We all say please and thank you. We're raised that way. And so if you go to Jamaica, that will probably be one of the things that you'll find. People tell you good morning. People tell you good night. How you doing? They'll greet you from across the street, right? If someone is walking along the same street and it's just the two of you, they're probably going to wave their hand and just acknowledge that you're there. That's going to happen in Jamaica. They're very, very friendly people, right? You never really feel alone when you're in Jamaica. But I went from Jamaica to New York. Man, that was the biggest cultural shock of my life, because I came from, everywhere saying, good morning, how you doing? Good to see you, good day. And in New York, everyone walks so fast and they go boom, zip, and they zip past you and they don't even know you exist. Most people, as you'd imagine, having their earphones or their AirPods or even their headphones on to let you know they're not interested in talking to you. No one talks to you in the US, right? Well, specifically in New York. But I'm getting to my point, which is that the New York is not the entire United States of America. So for example, for contrast, if you go down to New Orleans, right? Good old NOLA, New Orleans, Louisiana, everybody calls you sweetheart. How you doing, love? What you want to eat, love? Thanks, dear. No problem. I got your pancakes, my dear. Anything else, love? No problem, baby. I got you. That's how people talk in the South. Southern hospitality is very real, and it will make you feel like you've known these people all your life. They're the best at hospitality, I think. And I think sometimes Jamaicans lose that because obviously Jamaicans aren't known worldwide for customer service. But Southern hospitality, man, is one of the best things in the world. Now, let me also say this. If anybody says to you in the South, bless your heart, they're not actually blessing your heart. That's actually an insult. I learned that the hard way. If someone says bless your heart, they're actually probably calling you stupid. Oh, bless your heart. Bless your heart. So if anybody says bless your heart, what you say is no, bless your heart. That's what you say back. But yeah, bless your heart, not a compliment, it's actually an insult. But in Jamaica, if we want to be aggressive with you, We will. In fact, you'll probably see people after a football match doing this with their fingers. Yeah, da 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 da, pa 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 pa. But they're just talking. They're just talking regular. And if you're watching their body language, you'd be like, are they fighting? No, those are friends. In fact, they probably know each other all their life. And they're talking like this. Pa, pa, pa. Now, you don't understand that the match was like this. And you go so, right? Make up a conversation. But I think you get the point. Jamaicans talk very aggressively. And Southern hospitality, very sweet, very smooth. But then if they want to disrespect you, they'll do it right to your face and they'll say, bless your heart. So I don't know, which one do you prefer in terms of hospitality? Which people are more friendly? I would say I prefer Jamaicans because they're genuinely upfront on whether they like you or not. And most of the time, the manners in Jamaica is actually a little bit better. Next thing, the economy. Now, there are many Jamaicans who move to the US for a better economy. And obviously, the US is 400 million people about. And Jamaica is only, I think, what, 3 million people? So if you're going to sell a product, even if you can find 10% of the population to give you $1, you'll make significantly more money in the USA. If you are just in one state, in fact, you can just make money in Bronx alone and make a ton of money because Bronx has about the same amount of people as the entire island of Jamaica. So, of course, the economy in the US, by far, better than Jamaica, and actually one of the best, if not the best, economy in the world. So it's not even close, right? So if you want to make a lot of money, then yeah, obviously you need to be in the USA. So then we have 2 for USA, 1 for Jamaica. Better people in Jamaica, but we have better food and no, actually it's 2 for Jamaica. Better food in Jamaica, better people, but we do have a better economy in the USA. Okay, what about travel? Now, here's the thing. The US is a very big place. One of my favorite places to visit in the world now is Hawaii. Oahu Island is beautiful. The best sunsets. Oh my God. The black rocks because it's made from volcanoes and you can see the sunset and then the cliffs out of nowhere that just appear just like that. Hawaii is amazing. And you have Alaska. No, I've never been, but Alaska is a part of the US and those are what do you call them? Glaciers, right? Glaciers are beautiful. And then you go back to the Midwest, you have these big mountains, massive mountains. I've been to the Grand Canyon. I've seen Colorado, right? I've traveled to all these places. Nashville, all these wonderful places. The scenery, the amount of things that you can see in the US is just breathtaking. And so then if you were to compare that to Jamaica, well, Jamaica is just a smaller place. One thing about Jamaica, though, it's actually one of only 2 places in the world where the water has luminescence. That means the water glows in the mountains in Jamaica. There's one of only 2 places in the world, and Jamaica is one of them. So then there are things that you won't be able to see anywhere else but in Jamaica. But if you were to actually tour both of these countries, you'd probably find the US more exciting. So I guess that's 2-2. I'll give you the last thing. Here's where I would tell you from a day-to-day perspective on which place is safer. This is very important, especially if you have kids. Now, I want to raise a family one day. I don't have a family right now, but I love kids and I want to raise family. I want to be able to leave my door unlocked at night and walk with my phone in my hand and have a really good time. And I will tell you, Jamaica isn't the place for that, unfortunately. Unfortunately, Jamaica has become more violent. Violence in Jamaica, I remember growing up, for example, and on the front page of the newspaper, there used to be a headline like, man loses his head on a bus ride. What? I'm 13 reading this. Ridiculous, right? There used to be like news, just ridiculous news. Violence, like literal violence on the front page versus their like political news in the US, okay? And so that scared me from raising a family in Jamaica. So that I don't think my mind would ever allow me to raise a family in Jamaica safely. I'd much rather raise them in Cayman Islands or even go to St. Vincent or even there, parts of Brazil I find so much safer, like Florianopolis. But when you go to the US, obviously the major cities are pretty much just as violent. Now, Hawaii, oh, so safe because it's an island. Everybody there knows everybody. So then you don't really want to get into anything there because there's nowhere to go. And if you go to, let's say, Ohio, Beautiful place, very safe. And there are a couple of pockets around the country where you can do that. But if you go to any major city, Atlanta, Chicago, New York, these places are dangerous. LA, you can get robbed in broad daylight. It's the same in Jamaica, in the cities. So then, in terms of where would you rather live, if you're living in the middle of nowhere in the US, that's actually a pretty great life. And so then that's 3 for the US and 2 for Jamaica. Now, here's a tiebreaker. Well, it's not a tiebreaker anymore. What I would tell you, where I would rather live if I were to live permanently between US and Jamaica. Drum roll. If I were to live between Jamaica and the US, and Jamaica has 2 points so far, the USA has 3, I will tell you, I would still choose Jamaica. And let me explain why. I would choose Jamaica, but I would earn in US dollars because I can earn money from the internet. And so if you can earn money from the internet, then you can earn money in whatever country in the world where you can target people. Okay? But I would rather live in Jamaica because the peace of mind that you have living in Jamaica, separate from the violence, the slow pace of life, there's so much less political, in your face that happens in Jamaica versus in, America, it's Democrat versus Republican every day, all day, ready. And there's so much racism and there's so many political aspects. There's, right wing versus left wing, there's red pill and blue pill, and there's man versus woman. Now in Jamaica, it's much less chaotic for your mind and your mental stability. So if you want an actual break from all of that, Jamaica is the place to live. So I actually choose Jamaica to stay for decades if I had to over the US. I hope that helps your decision. I've been in both countries. I've stayed for more than 10 years in Jamaica and I think 8 years in the US, and now I'm traveling South America. So if that helped you at all, I'm glad. If you want to keep watching, there are other videos right here, or maybe it's right here, I'm not sure. But in any case, I'll see you in the next video. Peace out, guys.